Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session of the Economy of Francesco, one of the many parallel sessions that are going on during these wonderful 3 days. It is somehow challenging to find renewed energy after the morning, right? It was an intense morning for all of us. Probably one in a lifetime type of encounters, right? But nevertheless, I believe we have quite a very exciting topic to discuss together today. I grew up with some common belief that science and spirituality would compete somehow to give the best answer to fundamental questions. And then a few years back, a friend of mine challenged that with me and said, "Are you really sure about that common belief?" And then when a few weeks ago I came across this initiative, I said, I think now I do have a much better opinion on how science and spirituality can get together. So this is what we're going to talk about, and how do actually science and spirituality very often, or at least in this case, give very, very, very similar answers to fundamental questions. So in that spirit, I think we have the privilege to have to discuss this together with two great companions in this environment, but also with you. So we want to have this session as a dynamic and interactive session. So please help us up. As we start, I would like to ask our two friends to introduce yourself. Not with your very long academic and research, both of you, curriculum, but if you can tell us a little bit about yourself. Mons, if you want to start.
Yes, thank you very much, Carlo. So nice to be here and encountering the spiritual community here. My name is Mons Nilsson. I am leading the institute that has partnered on this book that we will talk about today. I'm 52 years old. I love being out in nature. I live close to the forest, and this is sort of where I get my energy and my recovery. And this is up in Sweden, in outside Stockholm, which is a lot of nature around. And I think this is an important foundation for the work also, that to have that connection, and that I feel also with the community here at the Economy of Francesco, the connection to the nature and to the spirituality of nature that we want to live with every day.
Thank you. Wow. Alessandra.
What to say? I'm Sister Alessandra. I'm a Salesian sister. That means that I'm committed to give my life for young people. And I was involved with this process of Economy of Francesco since the beginning, since when the idea was starting. And I wasn't in the Vatican when this project started. So you can see that I'm quite new in the Vatican, and now I'm the secretary of one of the, I can see, most beautiful, interesting the dicastery for promoting integral human development. And I feel all the responsibility and the pressure after this morning to keep to make our dicastery, with the help of all people working there and all our partners, something meaningful for a new economy which can't be disconnected from the care of our common home.
Thank you. Thank you for your introductions. If we go straight into this booklet, I know that all our participants to the Economy of Francesco received one copy as a kind donation, and it's a powerful booklet, right? It has some images and strong messages that, and the language that has been used is neither a purely scientific language nor a purely spiritual language. I think it's a beautiful new language that speaks to everybody and speaks for the message itself. Can you tell us, Mons, a little bit more about what's in this booklet and how has this initiative actually come about to life for you?
I can say something about the initiative and then you can explain the contents. So this project started 2 years ago. It was fruit of an encounter. The previous former ambassador, Sweden ambassador to the Holy See, and our dicastery, the former secretary. And but the project has been growing and growing. The ambassador changed, but not the project. And so we are very helpful that the new ambassador is continuing to support us. And it was meant to respond, to answer a challenge, to face a challenge. We, as Catholics, as dicastery, we promote the Laudato Si encyclical, the one Pope Francis wrote in 2015. And we said, okay, yes, we know everything. If we read the Laudato Si, we can know what's about, what are the challenges, maybe what to do. But this is not an universal language. Then we are facing the fact that many people don't know exactly what's going on from a scientific point of view. We need to ground this in something that can be readable from everyone and based on scientific evidence. At the same time, scientific evidence sometimes is hard to understand for normal people. And so there was this joint venture with one of the most important environmental institute in the world, the Stockholm Environmental Institute. And so we are very honored for this work we have been doing together. So we said, maybe we can put aside, we can bring together the science, the Laudato Si, the spirituality, to explain what is going on, but also with concrete steps. There is a part called Let's Take Action in order to put this in practice. And the aim is to spread this booklet, not only papers, because we know that for the sake of our common home, it's better not to have too many printed copies, but we have enough to send all around the world, in all the dioceses, all the world, but also with a online version, so that we hope that many people in the world can have this gift, can receive this gift.
Thank you. And what's in this booklet, Mons?
Yes.
More in detail.
This is, Stockholm Environment Institute is doing scientific research on a variety of environmental issues and climate change, air, water, consumption, lifestyles, but our mission is to actually make sure that this science is used by people, by policy, by makers, by practitioners, by businesses. And this is pushing our researchers always to try to make sure that it's written in a way that people can understand it, which is a challenge for researchers, I can tell you. And I would say now, this is actually the first time we are joining a collaboration and a partnership with a faith-based community, the spiritual community, which is such an important agent of change in the world. And I'm so proud to be and honored to be part of that. So what we're doing is, concretely, we're taking the words of the Pope in the encyclica Laudato Si, and that is anchored in science, but it's not written in science terms. So what is he saying about climate, about air, about water, our food? And then we interpret and extend and deepen the understanding. What is the science behind that? And then you have to take the experts that we have and tell them, what are the two, three things that you think people should know and discuss about air, for example? You don't have 100 pages, you have half a page. And it's been a lot of creative work trying to get that language right and the information right that makes sense scientifically and makes sense for the lay person who picks up this brochure. So the scientific evidence, and then what we know from research, what needs to happen in a brief way in general. And then the final part, which comes a lot from the dicastery, is discussion questions for the congregation, for the local church. For example, I hope that there can be discussion circles that take these questions and think about both what can I do myself in my life, but also how can I influence others and how can I keep like the politicians and decision makers to account. Also finding out the political aspects of this. It's not just our own choices, it's also about democracy in the world and accountability from the decision makers. So, and I would like to say that we have worked on this, making scientific knowledge accessible for many years, but I think this has been sort of a step up for us, really working so closely with our partner to find this tone, this graphic, this imagery, to make it as an inspiring document as possible, while also being grounded in science. So I think I'm very proud of this project, I have to say.
And I am very grateful for once.
And now it is in English and in Spanish, but it will be translated in many, many languages.
That's great. I don't know if any of you already had the chance to at least scroll through the booklet, but it's organized by essential components of our life, I would call them: the climate, air, earth, I believe, water,
food,
right? And what else? Our food, and then our consumption. And our shared future. Yes. And then there is the part on the bottom corner where it says, let's take action. And what I love is that sometimes action is expressed as a statement. For instance, acknowledge air. You know, we breathe every day and constantly, and we make this act of breathing unconsciously nowadays. But if you pay attention to the air that you're breathing, that is life essential. Every breath of air is keeping you alive. Then you bring that spiritual sense of life. Then you already done a first step toward appreciating the importance of the air and preserving it, right? And some actions are actually posed in a question form. And it's asking, have you thought of? Have you reflected on? Have you experienced something? And so that you can look for the actions yourself that can help you with it. So what we thought of doing, I'm not sure how this can really work with the Facebook and other live, but to honor the group that we are here, I wanted to ask a question to you. So right now, in this booklet, we had the courage, you had the courage to bring spirituality and science together to answer and to talk about essential life. Here we are at the economy of Francesco. If we add a third pillar, that is the economy, so we have the science, we have the spirituality, what do we need to add to make sure that then we make economic sense as well of this? Because perhaps that could be the third element that is missing to finally prompt the action. So I want to ask you for a couple of minutes, really, turn to your people on the right and on the left and have a quick conversation on what is the economic part of this. We put spirituality, we put science, and how does economic also contribute to water, to a climate, to food, to the future, to the consumption, okay? And then I will ask you back some questions. So if you are on the live on Facebook and other social media, you can put your questions on the chat, and I'm sure somebody else will reply to that. So please take 2-3 minutes to discuss how would we add economic sense to spirituality and science. We can also do this.
Yes. This could have been almost like a new passage with the economy.
Yeah.
The future, it's about social justice a lot, but there is a missing the element is how it is the economic system that is now driving in certain directions that needs to change in ways that were very elaborated this morning by the Pope. It was fitting very well with this, actually. And I'd love to get that speech written up. I guess maybe you publish.
It's already published in the Vatican Bulletin.
Yeah. Because then we can use a lot of that language for future discussions.
We have already here translation. Going to check this website once we send it
I see that maybe the risk is not so big for that, but we can mention that the big launch will be later. Yeah, it's a sneak, it's an exclusive sneak peek.
People respond to different motivators. Some people respond better to scientific evidence. Some people respond better to spiritual arguments or thoughts. And some people respond better to economic arguments. That would be interesting. That's why I think a third language as an evolution of this in future, like you said, it's already introduced that. It will be an interesting challenge to give back to the economy of Francesco and see embrace this and take it to the next step.
And I was not, until I got the invitation for this, I was not aware that it's a fantastic idea, I find, and that it's anchored in Francesco and his life and his values 1,000 years ago almost. And now, that kind of reference point makes you humble. And it sort of it changes a lot in my mind. And how these topics can be picked up in modern life, relating to the environment, but also relating to human relations.
So true. The dimension of time is also very powerful. So, what is that? Yes. Okay, one more minute to wrap up your conversations.
This was always Cecilia, the previous ambassador, she liked to make the joke about the Vatican because we always ask for timelines. So, okay, so when do they want it finished by, and so on? When should we do this? Well, the Vatican works with very long timelines. But I understand that the creation of the dicastery is good news.
All right. If I can ask you to divert back the attention to us. Sorry to interrupt your conversation. It's never pleasant to interrupt wonderful conversations. I would like to ask, I will pass you my microphone and I will ask to ask anybody who feels, I call it popcorn style, anybody who want to pop up with a comment or a question, please share your thoughts on answers are better than questions, indeed. Like I was sharing a minute ago, some people feel better speaking a scientific language or responding to facts and scientific facts. Some other people needs a spiritual angle to understand and change a behavior, for instance. Some people really need the economic reason to do that. And so we all respond to a little bit of a mix of the three, if when we think about that. And so that's why it's interesting and stimulating to discuss with you. What is the economic, I would say, push that can help us in changing the behavior? So I'll pass the microphone and you will help me passing the microphone around with your thoughts.
Okay. So my name is Jean-Marc from Belgium. First of all, thank you very much for this, because I think it's crucial. My background is in communication. I work in marketing, so I feel like it's very important to share all the learnings. And the link to the question to me is more than the economics. I see the entrepreneurship, in the sense the people who start businesses who are running businesses. Do you hear what I'm saying? No. I will continue in the meantime. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. So my background is more in let's say business than economics. Therefore, I think what is crucial is to continue, more than adding something. I would continue this work of communicating the findings of researchers in a way that is tangible to the people who run businesses, who are most of the time very driven by something very concrete. I think most of the time profit. So maybe there is a shift to make there. Sometimes also by values. But if we can communicate this in a very tangible way, I think we're bridging a gap and going towards some more action.
Thank you. Somebody from this side?
Hi, everyone. I'm Serena from New York and now recently Rome. So I joined Sister Alessandra and their team. The question posed is very interesting from an economics perspective of how we can bolster both the faith side and the science side. So because economics is about incentives, what we were talking about a bit is adding that fraternal and community aspect to both faith and science. So forming cohorts might be a good way to implement these new initiatives, both because of mutual responsibility, but also because of encouragement. So when we create these relationships and bonds that help encourage us to build science and to evangelize, we wind up supporting each other in a way that actually leaves us more energized than before.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Thank you very much. My name is Obi Ajulike Chukwu Samuel from Nigeria. I will start with a little story. We call it shaking the table. Because when I tell you this story, you will be surprised things like this happen. In 2018, March 2018, it was discovered that 6.2 million barrels of crude oil were stolen away from Nigeria and was discovered where? In Philadelphia. Our OPEC quota for oil is how much? Is how many barrels? 1.7 million barrels per day. But in one swing, people stole away 6.2 million. That's the only one found out though, because it's been going on in China, in India, and many other countries. You know, Philadelphia is just one state in the US. There are many others going on. And you ask yourself, why is it that our naira keeps depreciating? Our youth keep emigrating, and crime keeps going on. The multinationals actually incentivize corruption. Because for you to make people to drill 6.2 million barrels in one swing, people will do more. There is a video I would have shared where you see the youth drilling oil in any way they can. At some point, 50 people were just killed drilling oil illegally. They don't do it on their own. Somebody pays them. They see the money, they are interested. The ones that cannot do that will want to find their way out of the country. And when they come to the countries, they seek asylum. Some will commit wrongs and all sorts of crimes. So my own, this is just a story to tell you what we are facing in Nigeria alone, not to talk of Africa. When we talk about climate change, there are a lot of things going on. In Nigeria, people just cut trees now, burn them for charcoal, just for export to where? China. So you see that people from the outside are pushing the climate change seriously, multinationals. So when we talk about climate change, I like the way the Institute is actually researching and researching and researching. But as an agri-economist and a rural sociologist, I come to ask, has there been any way of we trying to hear from the locals? Because whenever we try a policy that is top-down approach, people rebel against it. But when the policy comes from the people, a down-up approach, they embrace it as theirs. Because I read the actions here to be taken. There is something about adding more plant-based meal. But we all know that the UN prescribes 8 gram capute per day minimum of animal protein so that we can get the normal, what do you call it, animal protein, the necessary amino acids in sub-Saharan Africa, because I can't even talk about Nigeria here alone. It's lopsided. Greater number of people do not achieve that 8 gram capute. So when you talk about more plant-based meals, if you go by that, you know we'll have another problem of sickness. That is one. Then number two, yesterday somebody gave us a data. 200 companies, multinationals, emit more than 2/3 of the CO2 that is affecting the whole world. What are those companies doing? Because they produce, and Africa will want to maybe sell their own carbon emission for them to produce. At the end of the day, if you don't produce, you only consume. And if you keep consuming, your money keeps going down, other monies keep going up. What are they doing? Then finally, you know, most times they come to Africa, they say they give us aid, they give us aid, they give us aid. I won't say giving someone aid is bad. But when you give the poor from top, like you're just helping him, just take this, it's not the kiss of the leper, right? But when you come and meet the poor, you dialogue with the poor, you are just doing what St. Francis is doing. Many of the multinationals, they come with various things they tell you this particular hybrid species is better, this is better, this is better. At the end of the day, we lose our own, we throw away our own. At the end of the day, we rely on them because what they give us is just one planting cycle. All the seeds they give us, you just plant once, it cannot grow again. How are we helping the locals, the indigenous people of Nigeria, to get back their own produce so that they can plant it and have a sense of belonging in their own country? Thank you very much. It's a question. We might not be able to answer it here, but I want us to go on with these thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You want to comment on this before we pick? I think we can pick another, but I want to give you a chance also to comment back.
Well, I just want to say thank you, and your comments, especially the last one, remind us that we need economy of Francesco. We need research. We need Laudato Si. We need people, and especially young people, that can act, think and act. Because while we denounce this kind of situation, we need to propose something else. And so I see that the economy of Francesco can be an answer to this. And we need you. I see Walter. Walter can say a lot about regenerative economics and what they are doing in order to help to solve these problems. But this is telling us that we need to understand, we need science, because we can't base our statement and our action on something we think is true. We need to be grounded on science. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mons?
Yeah, getting more and more difficult to be heard here. It's lots of fun going on over there. But thank you for the comments. And I would say, if you read the chapter, Our Food, sir, you will also find some similarities with your intervention and the need to revise how we do agricultural modern way today for better for the communities and better for biodiversity and better for the farmer. I fully agree that it's not just economic policy, it's also about business and entrepreneurs taking the chance. And if we can be more specific, what needs to change, I think you can derive hundreds of business ideas and concepts from this brochure. And that could be an interesting exercise in the next Economy of Francesco conference.
Absolutely. And thanks. Actually, the final reflections would be, what can you do? I mean, you live in the Economy of Francesco with your great Economy of Francesco bag. Inside that bag, hopefully you still have the booklet, right? So you're going to read it, and that is going to inform you. Maybe a lot of it you already know. Maybe you will pick a new language. Maybe you will pick a specific reflection or an action. But then you can do more than that. As Sister Alessandra was just saying, you can have the intention to bring it to your church. You can have the intention to bring it to your business school or to your university, and see how can we use this wonderful synthesis of the spirituality and science together in our context, in our community. And then having printed many copies of these will actually not only offset the carbon, but will go into the net positive that we are aiming for. Well, we care to say that is a pre-launch of the booklet. So in a way, we're very lucky to have our hands and eyes and heart on it. But the real launch will come in soon. I am not sure when, but very soon, in many languages, as you were saying before. Is there anything final word that you would like to say?
You guys say first, and then you can say the final. It's a wonderful moment for me to be here and meeting all the young entrepreneurs and the scholars here. I commit to continuing the collaboration. I think this has been a real proof of concept, and I'm sure we can touch not only the minds but also the hearts of people by continuing this partnership and this encounter. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And I'm very grateful. I think that this is one of many examples that show us that faith, science, and economics can enrich one another, can reinforce one another. And so we need more examples. And so you that are going home, plenty of ideas and actions to take, maybe you can think about this and can do something in order to bring together all forces, all beliefs, because this is from a Christian Catholic faith-based tradition. But I think we can put together all religious traditions, because the care of our common home is something that is for everyone, and everyone is becoming more and more aware of the urgency and the need we have for ourselves to be committed to do something. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe we can end this up by taking a collective picture all together here. So I can invite you to come, and then somebody maybe take a picture with us. Sister Alessandra, once you stay in front, don't get diluted, or at least here.
Sorry?
How can we stay informed about the official launch?